I'm Carolyn from Bad Axe Enterprises, and today we are going to talk about robots. Not actual like Roomba or interesting robots or Skynet or Terminator or anything like that, but automations that you can use for your business to make your brand function with minimal effort from you. So I was recently talking about this. We're spending the month of July chatting about this in Bad Axe Biz Club, and there were a couple people that had some kind of, I wouldn't say like negative reactions, but they were like, I hate robots. I don't like them. I don't like using automations for my business. I think it feels impersonal, and I totally get that. But there are ways to really make automatic functions be your voice, be your brand, and help support the one-on-one special service that you're giving as a business owner. Unfortunately, we can't be everywhere at once. You may not have learned this yet, but I have. So relying on systems that support healthy social media boundaries, support your mental health, lower your workload and your time spent on certain unfun aspects of your business allows you the ability to be way more involved in the super fun parts of your business. So for me, we're going to talk about how Bad Axe has been implementing automations within my business and what those have looked like and how I've personalized them. So to start, to define where you should automate within your business, get a pen and paper out and start writing down where the bottleneck is. If you're already tracking your time spent on certain parts of your business, like projects, like actually tracking it, not just, I think I spent 2 hours on that this month, like actually tracking your time. If you're doing that, you're going to see where the bottleneck is a lot quicker. But if you're not, maybe just start with writing down some estimates of time, start tracking time for a couple of weeks, and see what things that you don't enjoy doing that you're spending a lot of time on. For me, that was onboarding. That was vetting clients to see if they are actually a good fit for me. So one of the things that was taking a lot of time was the initial contact to contract signed period. Now, that's a really intimate period where I am working directly with a potential customer to see if we're a good fit. And I want parts of that to be hands-on. But in the early stages of that process, there are a lot of things that I can be like, the robots can do this for me. So I use Honeybook for that. On my website, there's an inquiry form. And within that inquiry form, it asks, what kind of service are you interested in from Bad Axe? If a potential customer selects certain services like a website build or a speaking opportunity or social media management, if they select certain things, it automatically triggers a response email that I've written up that has, my photo in it. It says, thank you for reaching out to Bad Axe. I'm so excited about your potential project. Each one is a little bit, more specific. So if it's websites, I talk a little bit about that. If it's social media, talk a little bit about that in the automatic email. And then immediately after that within that automatic email, there's a questionnaire that's specific to the types of questions I need answers before I can determine if I can work with someone. So let's use websites for an example. Let's say you need a website. You find my inquiry form on my website and you're like, wow, this seems like a really great fit. I'm going to say that I want Carolyn to reach back out to me about building my brand's website. We're going to go on this great journey and do this together. Okay, great. So you fill out that form. You get the response email automatically, instantaneously that says, I've received this. Thank you so much. Here's a questionnaire. Please fill it out and I'll get back to you. You open up the questionnaire. It asks things like, do you already have a website? Are there some websites you're inspired by? What does your business do? What does your website need to do? Do you need booking services on it? Do you need to sell things? There's tons of little details that people don't often think about when they're starting to reach out to people for website builds. Budget, parameters, branding, logo. And it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to fill this questionnaire out. If you open that email, or don't, and see that there's a questionnaire and don't fill it out right away, in 3 days a follow-up email goes out to you like, hey, before we can work together, you have to fill this out. That is not triggered by me doing anything. That is triggered by you filling out the inquiry form on my website. If you don't ever fill out that questionnaire, I am never going to come find you. So this is something that was hard for me to learn, right? We're always, as business owners, and especially as service providers, we often get pulled into this thing where we feel like we have to chase people and provide more opportunities to them than potentially you should. This isn't to say that people who don't fill out the questionnaire that I send are bad. Maybe it landed in spam. Maybe something happened where they didn't get it. The number of people who can successfully fill out my questionnaires that automatically get sent out say otherwise. Sure, there could be a couple one-off issues where somebody doesn't get the email, or it goes to spam, or they don't see it, or something like that. Most of the time, because in the back end of Honeybook, I can see this, people open the emails that contain the questionnaire. I can see if they've read it. If they read it and they don't fill it out, or they get the reminders and they still don't open anything, I'm not going to chase them down. This is a vetting process. So this takes a lot of work, waiting, and time off of my plate. Before I set these automations up, and there's tons of different services that do it, Honeybook is just one of many, but before I set these automations up, somebody would email me or call me and say, I want a website. I'd be like, great, what do you need your website to do? And they'd be like, I don't actually know. And I'd be like, okay, well, do you need a booking calendar? Maybe. Okay, what's your budget? I don't know. Like back and forth, either on the phone or in emails. And that takes up time and mental space for me of checking the email and seeing like, oh, so-and-so that wanted a website, they've reached back out to me. I forgot to ask them if they have a logo. Do they have a logo for their website? Whatever. That is relieved by the questionnaire. It also provides that vetting process. If you can't fill out a questionnaire, I can't work with you. I don't have time to be chasing people and asking for basic information so that we can have a good partnership and work together. That was a hard lesson for me to learn. So perhaps it's one you're about ready to learn in your business as a service provider or even a product provider. There are certain types of customers that aren't ready to buy from you or aren't a good fit. And that's okay. And the sooner you learn that about them, the more time and money you save in the long run. And an automation can help you do that. So we've talked a little bit about kind of like the heavy lifting of like customer vetting. Like, what about the fun stuff? The things that are like exciting, but maybe aren't going to result in immediate sales, but they're still important to happen and you still want a point of contact for a new potential customer. I love email automations for those types of things. So I use Constant Contact for email automations, and one of my favorite and I would say most important things is when someone signs up for my email newsletter, they need to immediately be celebrated. Not just like, thank you, success, you signed up, like celebrated and told like, you're in the right spot, you are getting what you thought you were getting, here's why. So when somebody signs up for my newsletter, part of like, the marketing and the pull for signing up for my newsletter is you're going to get insight about marketing. You're going to get, behind the scenes looks at different strategies that I use or things like that, and access to different things before other people. When somebody signs up for my newsletter, they're the most interested right then in my newsletter. They need to get something from me immediately that delivers on those promises. If you are a soap maker and you're like, if you sign up for my newsletter, you're going to find out what the soap of the month is before anyone else, okay? That's the draw. That's why people want to be on your newsletter list. If I signed up and I don't get an email that tells me what the next soap of the month is, even if you've already announced it on social media. If like it's the middle of August, you've already announced what the next month's soap is, I should still get an email that says, here's the next soap of the month. We're so glad you're on our newsletter list. The first of next month, you're going to find out the next month's soap of the month. So always deliver, even in a little way, on the promises, because you are then priming people for the type of content that you have. So that is another automation that you can set up, right? You may have to tweak it a little bit every month, but people getting a just boring like success, you signed up for the newsletter, or confirm that you subscribe. Those are important emails to have too, so people know that it was successful, but make it a little more. Make it special to your brand. Make it specific to the promises that you're delivering on. That is another huge way to increase the likelihood that people are going to open your emails in the future. When you kind of pre-deliver on promises, people are like, oh yeah, this is real, right? And it doesn't have to be a freebie. It doesn't have to be a discount. Just something that says like, you are valued. Thank you for trusting me to show up in your inbox. Here's a thing that I said I would do that I'm now doing. It can be as simple as saying like, you know, here's my 2 favorite blog posts I wrote, or here's a YouTube video that I think is really helpful that I made. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to change every month, but having that automation set up that just like, yes, you signed up for the newsletter. That's going to help you so much. And it's going to make your later efforts, you know, the more work that you're doing in email marketing, it's going to make them more successful, right? Okay, so those are 2 big automations that I super, super love. One that's overlooked, that it's not a full automation, but I'm going to count it. I think this is an underrated automation. Saving quick texts for replies to direct messages, links that you send people frequently, really just, you know, like, here's the stump speech about my business in 2 sentences. Save those quick texts for use for social media replies, in DMs, for use in comment responses. Kind of identify the things that you're saying a lot. And also, you know, frequently asked questions about your brand can be really useful to save as quick responses. Now, you can save those on your phone directly, in notes, or as a keyboard response on some devices, or you can save them like specifically within Instagram. In the DM function, you can save quick texts, which I find really useful. I'm not saying set up like automatic responses, like when somebody messages you, you get thanks for messaging Bad Axe. No, I'm saying like there's still a little human response, right? You see a message, you go in and you kind of customize the quick message that you're going to send out, and you press send. It's like a hybrid automation, not fully automatic, but making your brain space a little bit less cluttered with thinking, oh, what am I supposed to say when somebody follows me? What am I supposed to say when somebody asks what my business does? You've got those saved. You spent brain power thinking about it once. You've saved it. You don't have to think about it in the future. Using less day-to-day, like little clutter tasks, it's going to take up less mental space, and it's going to let you really, really spend your brain power, your time on the things in your business that you love, or just in your life that you love. You're going to save time and mental power. How amazing is that? I love it personally. Is there an automation that you use for your business that you love? Tell me about it in the comments. And if you want to talk automations in depth and see some behind the scenes setup for these types of things, we're doing that all July in Bad Axe Biz Club. There's a link down below. Free to join, super fun. And if you're seeing this after July of 2022, which I hope so, you can still join Biz Club. It's free, and that content will still be there. Those resources about automations will still be there. So if you're interested in learning about it, that is a great place to go. All right? Okay, cool. Tell me about automations you use for your business. And until next time, stay Bad Axe.